Today I will start about the embryology of the pharyngeal arch arteries and their fat, which includes the aortic arches. What is the introduction? Introduction including the formation of the primitive aorta. Then we'll do about the definition, origin, then transformation into adult arterial system, aortic arches at 6 week of intrauterine life, aortic arches at the 7th week of intrauterine life, arterial management at the 8th week of the life, and the arterial arrangement in the 6th month of the infants. Now, what about in detail the pharyngeal arch arteries? The first arteries to appear in the embryo are the right and the left primitive aortae. They are continuous with the two endocardial heart tubes. Now, right lower zone, you can see these are the two endocardial heart tubes. Each primitive aorta consists of a portion lying ventral to the foregut, that is called the ventral aorta. You can see in the given diagram, this is the portion on both the sides, ventral aorta, which lies in front of the foregut, and which is an arch portion lying in the first pharyngeal arch. So you can see first pharyngeal arch, right? Now, a dorsal portion lying dorsal to the gut, and that is the dorsal aorta. So we can see here about the primitive aorta, the two endocardial heart tubes, including the ventral portion and the dorsal portion. Now figure showing here the relations of the first aortic arch, pharyngeal arch to the heart tubes before fusion of the heart tubes. Now what about the after fusion of the two endocardial tubes? The two ventral aortae partially fuse to form the aortic sac. So here the yellow colored is going to visualize in the diagram. That is the aortic sac, which is formed by the fusion of the two ventral aortae. Okay. Now here we can see here the relation. So here after the fusion of the two endocardial tubes, the two ventral aortae partially fused to form the aortic sac, and the unfused part remaining. What about the unfused part? Remaining the right and the left horn of the sac. So you can see the right and the left horn of the sac. So both of these tubes with the after fusion, we can see the aortic sac and the right and left horns of the aortic sac respectively. So here relations of the first here you can see first aortic pharyngeal arch to the heart tubes after fusion. Now the successive arterial arches now appear in the 2nd to 6th pharyngeal arches. Successive arterial arches now appear in the 2nd to 6th pharyngeal arches. You can see in the visualizing the given diagram, first arch, second arch, third arch, fourth arch, fifth arch, and sixth arch. What about this? The discoloration of the first and second and fifth, they will disappear later on. We'll discuss it later on. Now each being, so successive arterial arches now appear from 2nd to 6th pharyngeal arches. Ventrally to the right, it is connected ventrally and dorsally. So here it is connected ventrally to the right or left horn of the aortic sac. So this is the left horn of the aortic sac. So here in the given diagram, we can visualizing here the left aortic sac. Now here dorsally to the dorsal aorta. So here is the dorsal aorta. So these pharyngeal arches from 2nd to 6th, which are connected ventrally to the right and the left horn of the aortic arch, right lower zone in the given diagram, and dorsally to the dorsal aorta. Now the major arteries of the head and neck of the thorax are derived from these arterial arches as follows. The greater part of the first and the second arch arteries disappear. You can see the greater part of the first and second arch arteries, which are discolored area, which arteries are disappear. So fifth also discoloration the indication the fifth arch also disappears. So how many arches are developing here disappear? First, second and fifth. but coloring third, fourth and sixth. Right? So here you can see in the given diagram the branch to the lung bud, downward two arrow indicating the branch to the lung bud. Right to that one, and here the branch to the lung buds, left to that one. Both of these two are the relation with the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay, now this is about the aortic sac, and this is the right horn of the aortic sac. This is about the left horn of the aortic sac. Now here the truncus arteriosus. Okay, now both the aorta on the lateral side opposite to the fourth aortic arch, which give rise to the seventh cervical intersegmental artery. So we'll go in detail about later on. So which are the arches will disappear, first, second and fifth, which also disappear, showing in the diagram. What is happening in the adult life? The first arch artery which is disappear is represented by the maxillary artery, right? The second arch artery persists for some of the fetal life as the stapedial artery. It may contribute to formation of the external carotid artery. Now the aortic sac is therefore now connected only with the arteries of the third, fourth and sixth arches. Now here in the diagram you can see this is the third, fourth and sixth. Here you can see connecting here the fate of the arches, disappearance of first and second, fifth arteries, disappearance of the ductus corticus on both the sides. Now here third, fourth, sixth arteries. Third and fourth arteries can open into the ventral part. You can see in the given diagram, this is about the third and fourth. Both of these two are in the ventral part, right? This is the dorsal. So which arch is visualized? The sixth arch. So third and fourth aortic arches here connecting with the ventrally, and here dorsally the sixth aortic arch. So third and fourth arch arteries open into the ventral part and sixth arch artery into the dorsal part of the aortic sac. So this is the aortic sac, this is the sixth connecting with the dorsal and ventrally the third and the fourth arches. Okay. Now the spiral septum that is formed in the truncus arteriosus extend into the aortic sac and fuses with the posterior wall in such a way that the blood from the pulmonary trunk which passes into the sixth arch artery, while that from the ascending aorta passes into the third and fourth arch arteries. Now here in the given diagram, this is the aortic sac. Bilaterally you can see here in the given diagram, third and fourth arch arteries here ventrally connected is a part of the aortic sac. Now dorsally sixth arch artery you can see, right? Now what is here indicating the blood from the pulmonary trunk passes into the, so you can see this is the dorsal part and sixth. So blood from the pulmonary trunk and the ascending aorta formed by the subdivision of the truncus arteriosus here passes through the sixth pharyngeal arch. So what is given here? The fuses with the posterior wall in such a way that blood from the pulmonary trunk which passes only into the sixth arch, while that from the ascending aorta passes into the third and fourth arch arteries. So you can see here this is the pulmonary trunk and this is the ascending aorta, right? So ascending aorta passes through the third and fourth arch aortic arches. So clear? So the spiral septum that is formed in the truncus arteriosus extends into the aortic sac and fuses with the posterior wall in such a way that the blood from the one pulmonary trunk which passes only into the sixth arch artery and blood from the ascending aorta passes into the third and the fourth arch arteries. So here the diagram indicating that this is the diagram. The portion of the right dorsal aorta, here you can see the part of the right dorsal aorta between the point of attachment of the sixth arch, between the point of attachment of the sixth arch. Here you can see sixth arch. This is the right side, this is the left side. So the portion of the right dorsal aorta between the point of attachment of the this is fourth arch artery and point of the fusion of the two dorsal aortae which are disappearing here. Again, I will repeat, the portion of the right dorsal aorta between the point of the attachment of the fourth arch artery and point of the fusion of the two dorsal aortae disappear again, right? Now you can see here the 7th cervical intersegmental artery forms the subclavian artery. Now the portion of the right dorsal aorta we have discussed. Now each 6th artery gives off an artery to the developing bud. What is given here? The developing bud. So this is the 6th arch artery on both the sides of the aortic sac. So downward vertical arrow here indicating on the each 6th arch artery which gives off an artery to the developing bud. On the right side, the portion of the 6th arch appear artery between the bud and the dorsal aorta. Here you can see disappear later on. But here you can see in the visualizing the diagram, right? Between the lung bud and the portion of this. The right side, this area is disappear. Now here you can see in the diagram, on the left side, what happening on the left side? This part remains patterned and forms the ductus arteriosus, which carries most of the blood from the right ventricle to the dorsal aorta. So here in the diagram you can see. So this is about the portion. So what happening at the 6th arch on the left side? It is remain patterned and forms the ductus arteriosus. Here you can see the 6th arch on the left side. So right side, this portion between the lung bud and this which disappear, but the portion on this side which is remain patterned and forms the ductus arteriosus. This is about the 6th arch artery, right side and left side respectively. Okay. Now here, which carries most of the blood from the right ventricle to the dorsal aorta. It is obliterated after birth and is then seen as the ligamentum arteriosum. As already stated, the part of the left 6th arch artery between the branch of the lung bud, here you can see these are the vertical downward arrow, the branch to the lung bud, and aorta, this is the aorta which forms the ductus arteriosus which remain patterned. Now here you can see disappearance of first similarly same diagram. Now each third artery gives off a bud that grows cranially to form the external carotid artery. Okay, so these are in the detailed summary. Each third artery, we'll discuss it later on, but sentences like number 1, each third artery gives off a bud that grows cranially to form the external carotid artery. Then the second, the dorsal aorta gives off a series of lateral intersegmental branches to the body wall. Then third point, one of these, the 7th cervical intersegmental artery, which supplies the upper limb bud. And the fourth point will summarize as it comes to be attached to the dorsal aorta near the attachment of the 4th arch artery. Now in detail moving towards that, the development of the main arteries can now be summarized as follow. Number 1 is about the ascending aorta and the pulmonary trunk. Both of these two are, you can see in the given diagram, right lower zone indicating that this is the pulmonary aorta on the dorsal side and ascending aorta on the ventral side. We discussed both of these two. The blood passes to these arteries right ventrally to the 3rd and 4th, while dorsally pulmonary trunk passes to the 6th arch artery where here the lung buds are directed. So the ascending aorta and the pulmonary trunk are formed by the truncus arteriosus that we have discussed in the previous diagram. Now the arch of aorta. So how the arch of aorta is developing is derived from the ventral part of the aortic sac. So this is about the aortic sac in the central portion, then the right horn of the aortic sac and the left horn of the aortic sac. So you can see about the aortic sac, and in the given diagram this is the right horn of the aortic sac, this is about the left horn of the aortic sac. So here is formed by the ventral part of the aortic sac and the left horn of the aortic sac, or left horn of the aortic sac, and the fourth arch artery. So this is the third arch artery, this is the fourth arch artery. So how the arch of aorta is developed is derived from the ventral part of the aortic sac and its left horn and the left fourth arch artery. All these three connectingly indicating that constitute 1, 2 and 3 portion. This is about the second, third and sixth arch. So sorry, third, fourth and sixth. So fourth arch artery portion, aortic sac, left horn and itself the arch artery, all together going to form the arch of aorta. Now how the descending aorta is derived from the left dorsal. So this is about the left dorsal aorta, this is about the right dorsal aorta. Okay. Now the descending aorta is derived from the left dorsal aorta below the attachment of the fourth arch artery. Now here you can see third arch artery, first and second and fifth are disappear. So third, fourth and sixth arch arteries are there. So you can see the dorsal aorta, descending aorta is derived from the left whole of the left dorsal aorta between, where between the attachment of the fourth arch artery and along with the fused median vessels, you can see number 2. So these two portion, number 1 and 2. First is at the attachment of the fourth arch artery and along with the fused median vessels. Both of these two constitute together to developing the descending aorta. Now the brachiocephalic artery. These are the main arteries of the head and neck. The brachiocephalic artery is formed by the right horn of the aortic sac. We have seen previously diagram. These are the aortics. This is the aortic sac. Here is the right horn of the aortic sac and this is the left horn of the aortic sac. So brachiocephalic is derived from the right horn of the aortic sac. This is the fourth important artery developing here. Now all three together indicating that the arch of aorta, then the descending aorta and the brachiocephalic artery. Okay, so all these three I will repeat it, formed by the aortic arch of aorta, aortic arch, left horn and the left fourth arch artery. All three developing arises from the arch of aorta. Here the descending aorta derived from the left dorsal aorta and the fused median aorta. Okay, and brachiocephalic artery, here you can see third diagram, is derived from the right horn of the aortic sac. So all three collectively summarizes shortly. Now the fifth artery, that is the right subclavian artery, the proximal part of the right subclavian artery. This is about the subclavian artery. So right side and left side. So the proximal part of the right subclavian artery is derived from the, this is the third, fourth and sixth arterial arches here. So the right subclavian artery with its proximal part derived from the right fourth arch artery, number 1, and number 2, the remaining part of the artery being derived from the 7th cervical intersegmental artery. So here the 7th cervical bilateral, you can see number 3. So this is about the third one. So how it give rise to derive from the number 1, the fourth arch artery, proximal part and the remaining part here being the 7th cervical. So second portion is here the 7th cervical intersegmental artery. What about the left side? The subclavian artery is derived from the 7th cervical artery, that is number 3. So right side indicating proximal part and the whole 7th cervical artery, right? Intersegmental artery. And the left side derived entirely from the 7th cervical intersegmental artery, which arises from the dorsal aorta opposite the attachment of the fourth arch artery. You can see this is the third arch artery, this is the fourth arch artery, and this is the sixth arch artery. Here you can see the lung bud, branch to the lung bud. Okay, so this is about the pulmonary trunk. This is about the ascending aorta in the region of the aortic sac. Now here you can see the right horn of the aortic sac and left horn of the aortic sac. And here both of these two sides, here you can see the subclavian artery, Right is from the proximal part here from the, we have discussed about the fourth arch artery and remaining from the seventh cervical and intersegmental artery. But left subclavian is entirely from the, derived from the seventh cervical intersegmental artery. Now, important another artery, that is the common carotid artery, is derived on, so here we can see in the given diagram, this is about the pulmonary trunk, branch to the lung bud, here the dorsal aorta, here the ventral aorta, here the aortic sac, here the right horn of the aortic sac, left horn of the aortic sac. So here we can see, this is about the third arch, this is about the fourth arch, this is about the sixth arch. Now, red color indicating that the common carotid artery is derived on either side from part of the third arch artery, and that is proximal to the external carotid artery. So this twig, that is the external carotid artery from the common carotid artery and the internal carotid artery. So how many branches of the common carotid artery that we have discussed in the gross anatomy? Common carotid artery is divided into two. One is the internal carotid artery and external carotid artery. Now, proximal to the external carotid artery, on the third arch artery, it gives rise to the common carotid artery. Okay, so this is about the third arch artery, proximal to the external carotid artery. Now, internal carotid artery, we have seen the previous diagram, red color indicating that. So, here the common carotid artery and here is the internal carotid artery is formed by the portion of the third arch artery, this is third arch artery, fourth arch artery, sixth artery. So here the portion of the third arch artery distal to the lung bud, here you can see, fourth arch artery distal to the bud, here you can see, both these are the buds. Along with the origin of the dorsal aorta, cranial to the attachment of the third arch artery. Right, so this is the cranial and caudal. So cranial to the attachment of the third arch artery. As the right, third and fourth arch artery arises from the, so you can see the right and the left horn. So as the third and fourth arch arteries arises from the right horn of the aortic sac, the common carotid artery and subclavian arteries become branches of the brachiocephalic. So here the brachiocephalic, the common carotid, the external carotid, internal carotid, and this is about the subclavian. So we clear? So about, I will repeat, this is the right horn of the aortic sac. Here you can see give rise to the subclavian, and here it give rise to the common carotid, right? Brachiocephalic. Brachiocephalic gives two on the right side, right subclavian and right common carotid. This right common carotid give rise to the external carotid artery and internal carotid artery. So we have discussed all these three, summarized as the right and third and fourth artery arises from the right horn of the aortic arches, the common carotid artery, and here the subclavian arteries here becoming branch of the brachiocephalic artery. Now summarized in all the diagrams, the right subclavian artery number 1, then the common carotid artery and internal carotid artery. So we have discussed all these three in the previous diagram. Now, at already mentioned the external carotid artery, here we can see visualizing this is the third arch artery, fourth arch artery and sixth arch artery, right? First and second and fifth arch disappear. First, second and sixth arch disappear. I told you about the first representing the maxillary, second representing the stapedial artery in the first two PPT. So as already mentioned, the external carotid artery arises as a bud from the third arch artery. Visualizing clear? Now the pulmonary arteries. So here color indicating that the arteries, that is the exception. What is the function normally about the artery? Artery carries the purified oxygenated blood, right, from the heart to the other part of the body. But exceptionally the pulmonary artery and the umbilical arteries are which convey the impurified deoxygenated blood. So here the pulmonary artery color indicating that convey the impurified blood to the lung bud. So here, so pulmonary artery are derived from the part of the sixth arch artery. You can see This is the third arch artery. This is the fourth arch artery. This is the sixth arch artery. Okay. Now the sixth arch artery is lying between the pulmonary trunk. This is the pulmonary trunk and branches to the lung bud. So these are about the pulmonary arteries. Okay. Now about the already stated the part of the left. This is the right side, this is the left side. Orange color indicating that the left sixth arch artery between the branch to the, this is downward arrow, branch to the lung bud and aorta forms the ductus arteriosus, right? So what is the ductus arteriosus? Here the part of the left sixth arch artery between the branch to the lung bud and aorta forms the ductus arteriosus. Now all three summarize here, diagram A, B and C. The external carotid artery you can see, the pulmonary arteries and the ductus arteriosus. Okay, that we have discussed in the previous diagram. Now summary of the adult derivatives of the truncus arteriosus, aortic sac and aortic arches. So adult derivatives, number one, and embryologically structure. So where the ascending aorta is derived embryologically from the truncus arteriosus. Arch of aorta, aortic sac, left horn of the sac and left fourth arch artery. Right? Now I will give you idea about that from next to the below your pulmonary artery, part of the sixth arch artery. Pulmonary trunk, truncus arteriosus. So here you can see in the diagram, so ductus arteriosus, right? Now here you can see the pulmonary trunk at the sixth arch artery. So here the paragraph indicating that shortly the descending aorta, left dorsal aorta and fused dorsal aorta. Now brachiocephalic artery, right horn of the aortic sac, the right subclavian artery, right fourth arch artery and seventh cervical intersegmental artery. What about the left subclavian artery? The left seventh cervical artery, intersegmental artery that we have seen in the previous diagram. Common carotid artery, proximal part of the third arch artery. Internal carotid artery, distal part of the third arch artery and cervical part of the dorsal aorta. External carotid artery in the form of the bud from the third arch artery. We have seen in the previous diagram. The pulmonary trunk derived from the embryologically structure, that is from the truncus arteriosus. And the pulmonary artery part of the sixth arch artery. And ductus arteriosus part of the left sixth arch artery between the lung bud and the aorta. So all this is about the summary of the adult derivatives of the truncus arteriosus, aortic sac and aortic arches. Now what is the relationship of the main nerves of the head and neck to the arteries can be explained on the basis of the development of the arteries. The nerve of the pharyngeal arches are at first lateral to the corresponding artery. In the given diagram you can see the nerves indicating green color. These are the lateral to the arches. So here the third pharyngeal arch, fourth arch artery and the sixth arch artery, right? So here color indicating the pulmonary artery. So you can see here is the lateral nerves, the head and neck, main nerves of the head and neck. Here the explain basis of the development. So the nerves of the pharyngeal arch arteries at the first lateral to the corresponding artery, the nerves of the first, second and third arches, these are the fifth, seventh and ninth retain their lateral position. The disappearance of the ductus corticus enable the nerve of the fourth arch, superior laryngeal nerve to move medially and it becomes to lie to the main arteries of the neck, right? So here the diagram indicating that the superior laryngeal nerve. So moving towards the medially. Now with the disappearance of the sixth arch artery on the right side, this is on the right side. So you can see that we have discussed and seen the diagram about that. The portion between the lung bud and the aorta will disappear. The disappearance of this part on the right side, the nerve moves cranially, right? So nerve moves cranially and come in relation with the fourth arch artery, that is the subclavian. Okay, so relations are visualizing here. The next diagram here you can see in the given diagram. So here is the recurrent laryngeal nerve and the ligamentum arteriosum, right? So this is about the diagram relations of the vagus and the recurrent laryngeal nerve. So is the viva question that the carotid sheath containing the internal carotid artery, common carotid artery, between these two, the vagus nerve, and behind that is the sympathetic part. So cervical part of the sympathetic chain. And the anterior wall of the carotid sheath, what is embedded in the anterior wall of the carotid sheath? Tensa cervicalis nerve. That you already have discussed the theoretically in the gross anatomy. So how the recurrent laryngeal nerve is also, there is a branch of the vagus nerve. You can see this is the vagus. Right? So in relation to the internal and external carotid artery, this is the common carotid artery. Now on the left side, right? So what happening? I told you, barabar. Now left side, it retains its relationship to the red part of the sixth arch artery. Here you can see the ligamentum ductus arteriosus, sixth arch artery, which forms the ductus arteriosus. With the elongation of the neck, the descent of the heart, these nerves are dragged downwards and therefore have to follow the recurrent course of the larynx. So summarize the relationships of the vagus nerve and the recurrent laryngeal nerves to the aortic arches for explaining here nicely. Now what are about the anomalies, right? The anomalies of the pharyngeal arch arteries, the anomalous development of the pharyngeal arch arteries, here we can see. We have seen that the development of the normal arterial pattern is depend upon the disappearance of some part of the pharyngeal arch arteries. Okay, so what we have done in the previous PPTs, we have seen that the development of the normal arterial pattern is dependent upon the disappearance of the part of the pharyngeal arches. Occasionally, this process is distributed in that, number one, some parts that normally disappear which may persist, and some parts that normally persist may disappear. Now, as a result, the several anomalies of the pharyngeal arch arteries may be produced, right? So, here may be produced. Number one, the double aortic arch. Number one is the anomaly is the double aortic arch. The arterial ring can compress the trachea and esophagus. Now here you can see the diagram. This is the trachea and this is the esophagus. The trachea, we can see the tracheal rings are along with the blue portion, and behind that is the esophagus. Now this is about the diagram double aortic arch. You can see the double aortic arch diagram showing here the double aortic arch which conveys. So here this one aortic arch, this two aortic arch. Both of these two aortic arches can form the arterial ring which compress the trachea and esophagus. If trachea is compressed, what will happen? The difficulty in the breathing, that is called the dyspnea. What is about the compression of the esophagus? Difficulty in swallowing, that is called the dysphagia. So this is about the double arch, aortic arch. Now the right aortic arch, you can see the right aortic arch is only one side also, right? The right aortic arch. Now the third important anomaly of the pharyngeal arch arteries called the PDA, that you have seen about the Fallot's tetralogy, the congenital heart disease in which the Fallot's tetralogy, tetra means four. Amongst the four diseases, one is the important, that is a patent ductus arteriosus. The Fallot's tetralogy is a very important anomaly of the embryological anomaly of the pharyngeal arteries, and you have to clear about that. The Fallot's tetralogy, amongst the four tetra and four, one is the patent ductus arteriosus. What is patent ductus arteriosus? What happening in the PDA? It's shortly called the PDA. The ductus arteriosus on the right side along with the sixth arch artery, which is normally occluded soon after the birth. Immediately after the birth, it is occluded and remain patent, and that is called the patent ductus arteriosus. Now here in the diagram you can see, right, on the right side. So patent ductus arteriosus. Okay, it remain patent. The right fourth one is the anomalies, the right subclavian artery may arises. You can see in the given diagram, the right subclavian artery may arises the last branch of the aortic arch. You can see the right last branch of the aortic arch. The ductus corticus may persist even. As a result, the left internal carotid artery directly derived from the aortic arch and right internal carotid derived from the subclavian artery. So all these are the indicating about anomalies associated with the development of the aortic arches, right? And the abnormal vessels in this diagram indicating showing the about the red color. Again, you can see shortly summarized all the diagrams indicating double aortic arches. We have discussed the compressing the trachea and esophagus. Second, right aortic arch. Third, right subclavian artery and the persistence of the ductus caroticus. Right? So here you can see. Now, again the diagram of these two in detail. Now, fifth important anomaly of the pharyngeal arch artery, that is about the right subclavian artery may arise at the last branch of the, this is the right subclavian artery, which may arise as the last branch of the aortic arch. Such an artery runs to the right behind the esophagus. So this is the esophagus. Okay, this is about the esophagus. So you can see in the given diagram where this artery is lying behind the esophagus along with the aorta. This is the aorta. Along with the aorta, this artery forms an arterial ring. Here it forms the arterial ring enclosing the trachea and esophagus. Now here the anomalies of the pattern of the main branches of the arch of aorta. Number 1, A indicating the left common carotid. Here the left common carotid arises from the brachio. This is the brachiocephalic on the right side. So from the brachiocephalic artery. The left subclavian artery, here you can see the left subclavian artery, even though, and the left common carotid arteries arising from the common stem, the left brachiocephalic. Okay. And the left vertebral, you can see the left vertebral artery arising directly from the arch of aorta. Otherwise, normally vertebral artery is a part of the first part of the subclavian artery, opposite to the internal thoracic artery origin. That is a normal anatomy. Now, the aorta may show a localized narrowing of the lumen, leading to partial or even complete the obstruction to blood flow, and this condition is called the coarctation of the aorta. So I told you about the phallus tetralogy, that is the embryologically anomaly of the pharyngeal arch. That is the most important theory short note, that is the applied aspect. What happening in which the developmental defect is called the coarctation of the aorta. The aorta may show a localized narrowing of the lumen, leading to the partial or even complete obstruction to the blood flow, and condition is called the coarctation of the aorta. I told you about the phallus tetralogy amongst the tetra NF4. Number 1 is a PDA that we have discussed, the pattern ductus arteriosus. Number 2, coarctation of the aorta. Right? The coarctation is mostly, you can see in the diagram. So narrowing, you can see the preductal. This is the aorta. This is the preductal and this is the postductal. So this is the ductus arteriosus. So coarctation is mostly frequently seen near the attachment of the ductus arteriosus. You can see ductus, so 6th arch artery. So this is about the ductus arteriosus, right? And ductus arteriosus, so this is about that one. Proximal is the preductal coarctation, and here the distal to the ductus arteriosus is the postductal coarctation, right? And the descending aorta. Now, coarctation is mostly frequently seen near the attachment that we have seen in the diagram. It may be distal to the attachment, postductal, and proximal to the attachment, preductal, in which case the right ventricle supplies the distal part of the body through the ductal arteriosus. This is the figure showing the coarctation of aorta. So how many VCCs along with the tetralogy phallus? Number 1, PDA. Number 2, coarctation of aorta. Now, diagrams used in the PPT are taken from the Google Scholar textbook of the Introducing 10th edition, textbook of the Keith Murray, and these PPTs for academic purpose only. Thank you.